All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining in with Jessica and I for Recycling in Haverford. This webinar is run quarterly. We do this a couple times a year because there's always some changes, and we're excited to explain all the recycling to you tonight. All right, my name's Melissa Romano, and I have Jessica Lazaro with us. And I'm going to do the first half. She'll do the second half. We're going to talk first about what goes in your recycling can curbside, and then we're going to talk about some additional recycling options. So the first thing we want to talk about, everybody as tax paying residents, is where does all our waste go? Who's responsible for it? And what are we paying? So first off, our recycling, which is why you all tuned in tonight, goes to the Republic Recycling Material Recovery Facility, also known as a MRF, in King of Prussia. It's important to know that the recycling that goes in your curbside bin is based on where it's going, not the township that's picking it up. So every town is going to be different depending on which recycler they use. So everything in tonight's webinar will be specific to Haverford and specific to our recycling company. A couple things to note: that currently our glass that goes in your curbside bin that goes to the recycling facility is used as landfill ground cover, and that most plastics are baled according to their number 1 through 7, and they're kept for about 1 year, for about 12 months. And if there is no buyer and there is no place for it to go, it then goes in the waste stream. And our waste is collected by the township and then transported to Gavanta. It's an incinerator in Chester. We want to make everybody aware that we no longer landfill. Most of our landfills in this area are at capacity. And we do incinerate, which does release toxins in the air. There's nitrogen oxide, PFAs, lead, mercury, other particular matters. They go to our air, they go into local water and land, and there's a lot of contamination both in landfilling and incinerating. So really, neither option is ideal. And we'll talk about a little bit more about zero waste as we go on. But we do want to note that when there is incineration at Cavanta, they do recover some metal. So if there is some kind of metal, it is recovered and then scrapped. Our wastewater, which uses anaerobically digestion, is treated in Southwest Philadelphia. Our leaves that get picked up in the fall is a paid service for taxpayers for the township, but it is exported to be composted. So there is a benefit to having your leaves picked up. Although if you wanted to do it yourself, you can chop them up with a leaf blower and put them in your lawn or your garden, and there you go. You have free mulch for your ground. Our brush is also picked up from Public Works, and that's a free service. And the brush is actually exported and turned into mulch. And right now we're doing our Christmas tree collections. This is another free service, and this is mulched in-house, and we use it for parks and trails. We do want to note that we do have guidelines for our brush pickup. Currently, while we are collecting our Christmas trees, there is no brush collection. So the next brush collection will not be until February 26th. We have some late Christmas tree pickups this year. But we want to make sure that everybody is well aware that we no longer take brush yard waste in those brown bags. That was a different company we had used a long time ago. Like I said, we have to follow the guidelines of the company picking up our waste, and they do not accept the paper bags. They also don't accept bundles. So you just need to put your brush loose in a can. So it can be a Rubbermaid can, it can be a trash can, it can be any old container, as long as it's clearly marked yard waste, and the township will pick it up. They do not take grass, leaves, dirt, rocks. We're talking mostly sticks and bigger items there. All right, so the next thing I would like to do is share just a really quick 3-minute video on what happens at the material recovery facility. All of this stuff that you put in your recycling bin gets picked up and goes there. Even though it's all in one bin and it doesn't need to be sorted. Eventually it does. And this facility is the place that will be sorting it. Some of it is machine based and some of it is paid manual staff removing items that don't belong. So this is why it's so important for everybody as residents to really understand and educate yourself on what should be going into that bin to reduce contamination. So I'm going to quickly switch my screen here.
Where recyclables go after they leave the curbside bins. The MRF sorts, processes, and bales these recyclables to be shipped to manufacturers. First, all the materials are unloaded and placed onto a conveyor belt in preparation for sorting. They then
Melissa, we're not seeing the video.
And are sorted by gravity and shape. The paper products travel up the screen. While the paper products travel up, containers fall back.
Were you able to hear it but not see it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep playing the sound then, just so that you can hear what it is. I'm sorry you can't see it.
Takes them to their next step in the sorting process. This process isn't foolproof. Workers sort out trash and misdirected recyclables by hand. This lessens the amount of contamination in the final recycling load. The paper products are dropped into a holding container that waits at the end of the conveyor, then baled. Plastic bags are the #1 problem at a MRF. While they are recyclable, a MRF can't process them. Take plastic bags to a grocery store, and they will take care of recycling those. The containers that previously rolled down and through the screen begin the next step with super strong magnets that attract steel. They pick steel products up and move them to another conveyor that delivers them to their appropriate holding container. Magnets don't attract aluminum, so it's sorted through a kind of reverse magnet called an eddy current, which shoots the aluminum products into a catch bin. Next, the heavier glass falls into a pit, while the lighter plastic materials float onto the next conveyor belt for further sorting. The now broken glass, called cullet, is then shipped to a glass recycling facility. Sometimes plastics are manually sorted, but more and more this is done through optical sorting. This means the plastic is scanned and sorted by puffs of air into groups of type and color. #1 plastics are taken out of the process, stored, and baled. Plastics the scanners don't pick up are further sorted by workers into specific groups. Plastics not removed during this process fall off the end of the conveyor into a pit to be shipped to plastic manufacturers. After all the materials have been sorted and processed, except for the glass, they are baled and can weigh anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. Manufacturers buy these bales and create new products of that recycled material. Find out more at recyclemorenc.org.
All right. I'm sorry you couldn't see that, but hopefully you heard it and you got the idea that your recycling does need to be sorted much more once it continues the process out of your bin. I'm going to switch my screen again back to the PowerPoint. And we will have these slides available so that you can view that video at a later time. So just some history on the recycling industry in general. Like I said, your curbside bin is single stream. That means that you can throw your glass, paper, plastic, metal, everything in one bin. You don't need to sort it. Maybe some of you that were born in a different generation remember sorting your recyclables before it was single stream. It's made to be easier for us as residents, not necessarily the recycling industry and the people buying these recyclable products. But in 2017, we hit a little crisis in the recycling world where we used to ship a lot of our plastic overseas to Asian countries, and they were inundated with plastic and had no more room for any more of our plastic and told us they were no longer accepting them. So now we got stuck with all the plastic here in America, and for quite a while, a lot of it went straight to the incinerator because we just didn't have the facilities to be able to sort these and repackage them for people to buy. Things have changed a little bit, but it's still not a perfect system. Over time, because of this, we used to get money for our recycling. The township used to get paid. Now we are paying for somebody to come pick up our recycling. And in the past few years, that costs have just increased quite a bit. That our recycling costs more than our waste pickup. But it is important to know that recycling is required by law. And the reason why we present this workshop and try to educate people on what goes in it is because recycling property really can help save resources, decrease pollution, help the planet. I have some plastic facts. You can see on the bottom there that recycling plastic loses its integrity over time. Generally, you can only recycle plastic for 2 or 3 times. It's much cheaper to produce brand new plastic than use recycled plastic. So unfortunately, a lot of corporations will not do the right thing and purchase that recycled plastic to make products that are made out of recycled plastic because it's not economically viable for them. We collect way more recycling than we have a need for or know what to do with. There is very limited recycling industries and opportunities, and hopefully that can change over time. But the sad thing about plastic is 10% of plastic is actually recycled. That's not a high number. Roughly an entire dump truck of plastic is polluting our oceans every 1 minute. And it takes 450 years for a plastic bottle and 200 years for a plastic bag to break down naturally over time. But that still leaves us with microplastic particles that contaminate our water and our land. America uses about 100 billion water bottles and 10 billion plastic bags every year. This is an astonishing amount. And a plastic bag is generally only used for all of 10 seconds before it's thrown away.
Right.
So you have your blue bin. Hopefully you have one or maybe even more. And if you need more, they're available. You can purchase any these blue bins from the Public Works Department for $35. You can get one free if you moved into the township within 6 months. But we also have these recycling stickers that can be applied to any can or bin. And these are available for free at Public Works in the township building. One of the things we want to talk about is how important it is to keep your recycling dry. So it's really important that you have a lid on your can and that you use that lid. And if you don't have a lid, you need to get one. And if you can try Public Works, if they have some extra lids, you might get lucky and they'll have one for you. What happens when you have too much recycling and not enough bins or not enough lids or not enough area to hold all that recycling? There are some dumpsters in the township building that you can bring your recycling to. They are at Hilltop Road, which is access from Old Westchester Pike right behind Barnaby's. There's 2 dumpsters. One is for paper and cardboard and one is for glass cans and plastic. What you should know. Your recycling in your bin needs to be clean. That means no food. Food is a big contamination. And then it needs to be dry because if it's wet, you're contaminating all your cardboard and your paper. So clean and dry and loosen the can with the lid on it. No bags, no garbage bags, no plastic bags, no brown paper, no. Your recycling has to be in a can that's labeled and not in anything else. If you have a box or a bag that's got all the different recycling materials in it, it's not able to be sorted. So when it goes to that MRF, they're going to take that whole box or bag and throw it straight in the trash. They're not going to open it and sort it. No flexible bags, straws, styrofoam, none of this is accepted. Like if you heard in the video, plastic bags, that's the biggest contaminant. It's a huge problem for the recycling industry. Actually, what happens is it's so light that it ends up getting stuck in the gears and the mechanisms for the sorting facility, and then they have to manually remove those. They shut it off. They have to take time. Somebody has to manually pull them out. So it's a really big problem. Styrofoam, straws, those are things that are just not recyclable, and we don't accept them. You have to break down your boxes. Ideally, they don't want one box inside of another box inside of another box because they don't know if there's other stuff in there. So they want them broken down. Public Works says that you can tie your cardboard. We highly suggest not using plastic wrap or tape or anything. Twine would be the best thing if you have to. Our recycling facility actually does not want it tied together. That is easier for Public Works. So if you don't tie it, that would be the best. But if you have to, you can. No combinations of paper, plastic, metal. Again, things need to be separated. So if things are together and you can't remove them, you can't separate these products, they need to be in the trash. I have a bunch of examples spread out around me. So I just wanted to give you some kind of examples. When you're looking at some kind of packaging that has a cardboard back with a plastic top, that plastic top needs to be completely removed and you can recycle the cardboard by itself. This tiny little piece of plastic though is trash. That is not the kind of plastic that we need to be recycled. I see this all the time and it drives me crazy. These things, which by the way, you can call and have them not sent to your house if you don't even want them. But if you throw this in your recycle can just like this paper that's inside is not going to be recycled because it's covered in plastic. So this is going to be sent straight to the trash. The best thing to do is take the paper out, put the paper in by itself. This plastic, it's either trash or we'll talk about how to drop that off to a store at some other point tonight. There's some lids. This is my son's applesauce. You can see it's a plastic rim, but it's got a metal center. You can't, well, if you separate it, you can recycle this in a certain way. We'll talk about that later, but this you're going to throw out because that's not the right type of plastic. But you need to be mindful of things that are contaminated with other sources. So this is glass, this is plastic, this is plastic, this is metal. These kind of things is just not possible to recycle because you can't separate them. I have a manila envelope. A lot of people mail things in this, but you got plastic on the inside and paper on the outside and you can't separate them easily. So it's just trash or you need to find an alternative for it. Glass with a plastic lid and glass with a metal lid. Glass needs to be by itself. So you're going to remove all the lids and the glass is just going to be by itself. Nothing smaller than the size of a credit card or larger than the biggest laundry detergent container. Most plastic that we are recycling is going to be found like household in the kitchen and things like that. The recycling company and the Public Works pickup, they don't want to be collecting laundry tubs and plastic pools and trash cans. Like these things are just too big to enter our recycling process. I mentioned break down your boxes. It's really important. If there's a box out there and it's shut and they don't know what's in it, it could have anything inside. A lot of the packaging that goes into boxes are not recyclable. You got the air bubbles, you got the styrofoam, you got all this stuff that isn't accepted. So you need to break down your boxes. And when we say break down boxes, we mean break them down flat, but you can still keep the label and the staples and the tape and all on. Be better if you don't share your address with everyone. You should remove that anyway. But I take it all off. I take off the tape. It is a contaminant. It's not going to stop them from recycling. They are able to remove that during the recycling process, but the better the quality of the recycling, the better. So what is accepted? Everything must be clean and dry. But so cardboard and paper, this is any color paper, cardboard, but we want to note that some of it is contaminated with glitter or foil or those singing cards with metal and batteries. And coated, waxed, anything that's real shiny and slippery. This is stuff that is not accepted. So when we say paper, we're talking like your kids' artwork and school stuff that can go in there. Your junk mail, you got your flyers, you got your envelopes that can go in there. Soft books. So this is a book like that my kid was able to fill in herself, and I can't donate this because it's all filled in, but I can recycle it because it's soft. If it was a hardcover, you wouldn't be able to recycle it. So things like this is a package. It feels like cardboard or any other box, but on the inside It's this shiny material. This is not accepted. You don't want to do that. A lot of greeting cards and Christmas wrapping holiday paper comes with glitter and stuff. That's not acceptable. So plastic bottles, tubs, trays, and containers, number 1 through 7. Most of these kind of tubs we're talking about are heavy duty things that you would buy for the kitchen, your milk cartons, your juice cartons, your water bottles, yogurt containers with the lid, with the plastic lid, your produce containers, your meat trays, your salad tubs. These kind of things can be recycled. Your cleaning products. Important to note that just the plastic bottle, because if you have one like this with the spray bottle, you got this plastic in there, you got a little metal spring, and this part is not recyclable. You need just the container by itself. Glass, any color, bottle or jar, but not that lid. This lid is metal. It also has a little plastic liner, which makes it not able to go in the recycling bin by itself because this metal is contaminated with plastic. So the glass needs to be just the glass. You don't have to remove the label, but you do want to make sure it's clean. And then metal, aluminum, and tin cans only. It's important to know if you have a lid that you don't detach all the way, you can kind of tuck it in and keep it on the can. If you have one of these cans where the lid peels off completely, you can't put this little tiny piece in. It's not accepted. It's sharp. It's dangerous. It's a hazard for workers. So just the can, and then this can be discarded. You also have your like soda cans. You can put this in. This little tab can stay on. If you do remove it, again, it's smaller than the size of a credit card, so you won't want to put that in the recycle. I forgot to mention, when you're talking plastic cups, everyone gets, drinks out. You got to drink soda or water, you can just dump it out, rinse it, it's good to go. But if any of you are these specialty coffee drinkers like my teenage daughter with all the whipped cream and caramel, and you got to make sure it's all really clean. You can't just dump it out because that stuff really sticks in there. All right, so glass, back to glass. If anybody was aware, we had a specialty glass recycling back in December. This is through the Pennsylvania Resource Center. They have a traveling bin. It goes to different townships, and they 100% make sure that all the glass is recycled properly, and that way it doesn't end up being landfill covered. The last time we did it in December was only a week. It was super quick. So we are excited to inform everybody that we're doing it again. It is going to be here for a whole month this time, from April 5th to May 3rd. Start saving that glass now for when that time comes. So what is not accepted? Styrofoam. We don't take any styrofoam. Food containers, cups, packing peanuts, none of it. No styrofoam whatsoever. Glass. Glass, we don't take light bulbs and dishes and windows. We're talking pretty much just the glass that you would buy your food in. Coated paper. This includes milk cartons, ice cream containers, coffee cups, frozen food boxes. These kind of things have a coating on the inside to make it waterproof, and that coating is plastic, and so the plastic contaminates this paper, cardboard stuff that you cannot recycle that properly. Unfortunately, in the past, we used to be able to recycle juice and milk cartons and soup cartons, things like this, things that said Tetra Pak on it. Our recycling company would remove all these products, and they had a buyer for them. That has changed last year. And so now we no longer take any of these milk cartons or coated cartons. plastic bags. So like I said, the grocery bag, these Ziploc bags, this plastic that was on the newspaper, all this kind of stuff, saran wrap, bubble wrap, these plastic Amazon mailers, this kind of stuff. This is not accepted. When we're saying, when I showed you all the plastic, we're talking heavy duty plastic, things that don't really bend or fold or rip. Anything flexible is not going to be accepted. These kind of things are not accepted as plastic, and they're a contamination. So it's a big problem. Metal. So again, metal, like these three that I showed you, that's like pretty much all the metal that you're going to recycle. Anything else, my husband does not get this. Yes, metal is recyclable. It is infinitely recyclable, but not in our cans curbside. Any metal, screws, nails, glass jar lids, bottle cap, jewelry, tools, any other metal needs to go to a scrapyard to be recycled properly. I did want to make some notes on some glass and paper and plastic and metal facts. So cardboard is the most profitable item in your recycling can, if it's not wet and soggy. Soggy cardboard jams at sorting machines, and the grease in the food can contaminate it and ruin the paper and cardboard. They're both nearly 100% recyclable if recycled properly. It takes 70% less water to recycle than manufacturing new paper or cardboard. And for every 1 ton of recycled boxes, we save 17 trees. And so for metal, again, it's also infinitely recyclable. Recycling aluminum is 95% less energy than mining for new. A single ton of recycled steel conserves 2,500 pounds of iron ore, 1,400 pounds of coal, and 120 pounds of limestone. And recycling a steel can, just one steel can can conserve enough energy to light up a 10-watt LED light bulb for more than 24 hours. Most steel plants do recover 90% of the water that they use for reuse. And glass is also infinitely recyclable, but due to the food contamination recently, this is why now our recycling facility uses it as landfill cover. But that's why we host these glass recycling bins, and there is alternatives that we will talk about in a little bit. But as far as plastic, we want to mention there's 2 kinds of plastic: thermoplastic, which can be heated and reformed, or thermoset, which is not reformable. So that kind of stuff would be things like this. Yes, it's plastic, but this is not going to be recycled. It's not going to be able to be reused. I have some other packaging. This is a lot of plastic. This is not recyclable. Plastic hangers. Everyone thinks a plastic hanger is recyclable, but it's not. Once it's this shape, it's not going back. A lot of things that come in packages, they're pre-formed to fit whatever item they need to. And these kind of things can't be recycled. So this kind of plastic is just trash. In 2022, a Pennsylvania trash study showed that there was 21.5% of curbside recycling found in trash, and that recycling was contaminated with about 25% of non-recyclable items. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. We hope that you guys learned something tonight. Tell your friends. We have some more things not accepted. This is a new one too. Aerosol cans, we used to accept these in the past, even if they're not hazardous, even if it's just a can of whipped cream, we no longer accept any aerosol cans. And that is due to most of the time the fact that not all the air pressure was released. Things were exploding. It's a hazard for the workers. So we no longer take any aerosol cans in recycling or trash. Keep that in mind. We'll tell you where to bring them later. Foil, tin foil, these aluminum pull tabs, the kind you peel off your yogurt, these pans, these trays, all of this is not the kind of foil, like not the kind of metal that is picked up curbside. Mixed plastic, we talked about that spray bottle, the nose spray, this kind of stuff. that stuff is not accepted. And lids by themselves, we don't want anything smaller than a credit card. So, you know, any tiny little caps can't be recycled, but then also these metal jar lids, wine lids, you got a glass bottle with a metal lid or a cork, these kind of things can't be recycled by themselves. And then just in general, like electronics, batteries, toys, office supplies, these kind of things should not be in your recycling. And recycling electronic items improperly, it is very hazardous for the earth. There is materials in certain electronics like Freon in dehumidifiers and air conditioners that will be released in the atmosphere if they're not recovered and recycled properly. So here's just an example of what your recycling can should look like versus not. You don't want any food in there. You don't want any of that thin plastic in there. You need to make sure that things are empty. Hopefully you get the idea with that. I'm going to show you what it shouldn't look like on the curbside either. This is my neighbor. Hopefully they don't recognize their stuff, but no bags. Nothing should be bagged. There's that wine bottle with that metal lid. There's pizza boxes. A lot of pizza boxes are extremely greasy due to the fact that that cheese is greasy. So pizza boxes should not be recycled and they should be either trashed or compost. So this is what not to do. So not everything with a recycling symbol is recyclable. Unfortunately, manufacturers can put whatever they want on their products, right? This upper left is a toothpaste tube. Toothpaste tubes are thin, flexible plastic that is not recyclable, and it doesn't identify where it should be recycled, but it's definitely not in your curbside can. So it's really important to know what goes in your bin and what doesn't, even if they have a symbol. There is a new recycling symbols coming out. They are getting more detailed. This is howtorecycle.info. There is a lot of good information in this. This is a national company. It's mostly in the US and Canada. However, I did have some problems with some of them. And I've emailed them and their response was check where your recycling goes. So even if it looks like, hey, this is a legit label, you still need to know what goes in your recycling and what doesn't. So here's a little collage of some of the things in my life that I've taken pictures of. I wanted to note on the left, you see two labels there. I have both these items with me. So these are plastic bottles. These plastic creamer bottles that I've been recycling for a while. I've noticed initially the upper left one, it's a plastic bottle not recyclable unless the label is removed, because this is a plastic label, but it's not the right plastic. So to recycle this container, you got to take this label off. Now I've noticed it actually just says this whole container is not recyclable, probably because most people aren't going to take the time to take this label off. You can see in the middle, there's one that says recycle through TerraCycle. That's a pretty cool little label we'll talk about a little bit more. But it's really nice when things actually say this is not recyclable. That's helpful. But keep in mind, we're going to talk about what you're buying and what packaging it comes in, but keep in mind what you're buying. The upper right corner, it's 100% recycled, helps deforestation. That is my toilet paper wrapper. I buy from a company called Who Gives a Crap. They have recycled toilet paper. They have bamboo toilet paper. There is different options. And as a consumer, you should be purchasing things that align with your values, that hopefully if everybody did, the industry would start shifting. When in doubt, throw it out. If you're sitting there holding something and you're like, I forget, is this going in the recycle can or is it going in the trash? It's always better to throw it in the trash than throw it in the recycling. If you put it in your recycle bin and it doesn't belong there, it's contaminating that recycle stream. You have a chance of it contaminating a whole pallet of recyclables and ending up going in the incinerator instead of getting recycling. So where can you find this kind of information when this night is done? There's two places you can find this, and I really want to highlight our website. It's haverfordclimateaction.org. This is a website that the Haverford Environmental Committee, has created with a lot of information. We are 100% in control of this website and can keep this updated frequently. Like I said, things change. The recycling market changes probably every 3 months or so. So that information is going to take time to get to you, and we can update this site very quickly. But the Haverford Township website has this kind of information. The EAC, who we are presenting tonight, we are volunteers. We do a lot of the education on this, but we are not the ones who are picking it up. That's actually Public Works. So Public Works page has information on what can and can't be recycled, when your recycling gets picked up, and who to, if you have questions regarding your pickup or something, you want to reach out to Public Works. So if you go on the front page of the township page and click under brush, trash, and recycle icon on the left, it'll bring you to the Public Work page. You'll see the flyer that gets sent out to your house. There's a frequently asked recycling question and answers that the EAC has made a few years ago. So you can find that information on the township page. This is that one-page flyer. It was recently updated in September. This is just a real brief reference to hang on your fridge or where your recycling is. So the frequently asked answers and questions and answers is a document that we created a long time ago. Very specific, what can and can't be recycled, how to do it. Are plastic bottle caps and metal jars accepted? No. Tin foil? No. Shredded paper. So shredded paper is accepted if it's placed in a brown paper bag. So we're putting paper inside of paper, so it's not mixed, it's still paper. But shredded paper by itself is too small. It's smaller than the size of a credit card, so we don't want to put that in by itself. If you don't want to shred your paper, you can hang on to it, and the township offers some shredding events a couple times a year. Aerosol cans. Unfortunately, the Public Works page is inaccurate. That is outdated information. We no longer accept aerosol cans, so that is not right on the township page, but it is right on our EAC Haverford Climate Action page. Same thing with milk and soup cartons, those coated paper cartons, they're not accepted anymore. And the PDF online is a little outdated. Plastic junk mails with plastic windows, that is accepted. Do staples, tape, and labels need to be removed from boxes? No. Greasy pizza boxes are a no. Plastic clamshells, as long as it's labeled 1 through 7, is a yes. Receipts, that was another one I didn't mention earlier with paper. A lot of receipts are not actually paper and ink anymore. They're photo scanned. So those paper are not the kind of paper that needs to be recycled, and most receipts are trash. Prescription pill bottles and caps. These things, they can be recycled. They're plastic, but make sure the lid's on. The lid's kind of small. And I would suggest removing your information so that nobody sees what you're taking and where to go to get it. Spray nozzles, soap pumps, laundry detergent spouts, all these things are mixed and should be removed before recycling. So you might have heard a few exceptions. I keep saying you can't have paper and metal or paper and plastic. You need it to be separated, but there are a few exceptions because the recycling industry likes to keep you on your toes. So the cardboard boxes, they have to be broken down, but you can leave the tape, labels, and staples. I would remove them anyway, though. Paper junk mail, shredded paper can be recycled as long as they're in a paper bag contained. And those plastic windows can be left on junk mail. They do remove them in the sorting process. Paper labels can be left on metal, steel, and aluminum cans and glass jars. They are also removed at some point in the process. Plastic lids can be left on plastic bottles, but they cannot be placed by themselves. a lot of times we suggest if you have a container like this, if you kind of compress it a little bit, put that lid on, because when it does go in the trash, everything does get smushed down. So we don't want these lids popping off if you can. And plastic labels apparently do need to be removed from some plastic bottles. Keep your eye out on the identification tag on it to see. There's some new products too, which also make it a little different. I don't think I have, oh yes, I do. These Amazon paper bags. They started using these. They are cushioned a little bit, but they are paper. And if you've ever ripped them inside, you see this little like white stuff. That is just water soluble glue, and it is perfectly acceptable in your curbside bin. Plant-based packing peanuts it's not recyclable, but it is water dissolvable. So these styrofoam looking peanuts, but they're not styrofoam, are actually made from plants. And when you run them under the faucet, they dissolve and they can be flushed down the water stream. A lot more compostable and biodegradable plant-based things these days. So I really hate buying produce that come with those plastic trays with a saran wrap on it, but some of them have these now compostable ones. But keep in mind, compostable plant-based stuff, this isn't a tree, it can't be recycled, but it is biodegradable or compostable. So it's not going to go in your recycling can, but it can go in your compost if you compost. Some other things can come in some biodegradable packaging. This is some laundry tablets that I've gotten, and this package is compostable. So something to keep your eye out for. Sometimes these kind of things would be better than something that goes in the trash or something that goes in the recycling can. So how many R's? We've always heard recycle, reduce, reuse, right? But I'm going to tell you there's way more R's, at least 7. There's probably more. But we want to talk about the 7 R's of sustainability. So sustainability is the avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance and to meet the needs of our present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So we currently as a planet use an entire year's worth of resources in about a half a year. There's a day, it's called Earth Overshoot Day. It's the day where we use a year's resources, and that day is July 29th. So by the end of July, we've used an entire year's worth of resources, but we still have more. So we're essentially pulling from the future, and this just is not sustainable. We need to rethink, which is number 1 here, not only our recycling habits, but our whole lifestyle. And ideally, we need to strive to be zero waste because we're running out of landfills. We're burning our waste. Nobody wants a new landfill or incinerator in their backyard or their community near their home. But when we throw something away, whether it's in the recycle or the trash, it has to go somewhere. So we want you to think of alternatives to both recycling and trash. Our recycling system is broken. It's not efficient. And they haven't changed anything in the recycling system in the past 20 years, despite knowing that there is major problems with it. The solution really needs to be zero waste. And a zero waste lifestyle, it sounds very intimidating, but you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it perfectly. The Haverford EAC, we're here to help. We have options, not only for recycling beyond your blue bin, which Jess will talk about in the second half of this workshop, but also ways to donate, reuse, repurpose, and most of all, find this information easily. So let's look at the 7 R's. You want to try to follow them in order. Rethinking our lifestyle, right? That's the first decision. You need to decide how important is it to you that you can make a difference in decreasing pollution in our land, air, and water, conserving resources for the next generation, fighting climate change by using less water and energy, and all by decreasing our taxes for our recycling and waste pickup. But there's a lot of pros to doing this properly. Um, so the next R was refuse. There's a lot of things that you can refuse. Excess and unwanted items, you know, sugar packets, creamer, condiments, napkin, promotional items, fast fashion. Like, do you really need another pair of shoes? Single-use plastics is a huge one. Straws, plastic bags, utensils, lids, coffee stirrers, water bottles. Do you really need all these things, or can you do without it? And then the third R was reduce. Reduce your packaging. You can buy your produce loose. You can go to farmers markets where they sell it without packaging. You can go to refill stores where you can buy products like shampoos and cleaning detergents and things like that. You can bring your own container in, or they even have repurposed glass that people have collected and donated that you can refill. And there's two in our area, Shift and Refill. You can reduce your non-recyclable packaging. Like I said, if you're getting something in a manila envelope with plastic in it and it's not recyclable, get something else. If you're buying something in the grocery store and your option is plastic or glass, think about, well, which one would be better to recycle and which one would be better to reuse, or single serve packaging. Instead of getting that multi-pack of yogurt, you can get a quart and you can use your own containers. Instead of getting those multi-packs of chips and granola bars, you can make your own. You can buy in bulk and pre-portion them. There's a lot of ways to reduce your packaging or the items that you're buying. So again, we talked about refusing, reducing. Next, Jess is going to talk about repurposing and reusing. And then we finally get to number 6, which is recycle. So you really should do all those steps before even getting to your recycle can. And then the last one is rot. Number 7, we can reduce our trash taxes even more by not throwing out all that heavy food waste. If we can get that out of our waste stream, which it shouldn't be in the recycle stream, we get it out of the waste stream and start composting it, that will be less in our waste. In America, we waste about 108 billion pounds of food annually, which ends up costing about $161 billion. Food in landfills can release methane, which is a greenhouse gas 28 times stronger than carbon dioxide that contributes to climate change. So some tips on not wasting food. You can freeze or eat your leftovers. Make meals with food before it spoils. Think about what you have on hand and what you can make with it. Repurpose your leftovers into new meals. You got some brown chicken you use for this, and now you can throw it in some soup or something, you know. And use your garbage disposal. Like we said, anaerobic digestion in our waterways, that's a better option than our trash. And then composting. So you can even recycle your food before you compost it. So this is just a little something I do. I save up on my veggie scraps. I boil them to make some veggie stock, and then it ends up in my compost bin. If you're interested in learning more about composting, we also have composting workshops similar to this. They're like 3 or 4 times a year as well. And the next one's May 15th. You would register for it just like you did for this webinar. So now you want to learn how to recycle some more, right? Before we get to that, I'm just going to see if we have any questions on recycling in your curbside bin. Is there anything in the chat?
Nothing in the chat.
Do we have to put questions into the chat, or can we just say them?
Go for it. You have a question? You could just say it.
Was this, you said the question had to do with which category? Because I have 6 different questions.
Anything to do with this first half, like recycling, curbside in your bin.
Okay, one, from the beginning, first of all, this whole seminar is absolutely fantastic. I hope the recording I can share with my husband and my daughter, because it's just sort of simple information. We're committed to recycling, but clearly we're completely ignorant. So all these violations can be fixed, but we just didn't know that we're not doing it right. With the brush, so we just recently pruned some bushes for visibility of the driveway. And those bush things have leaves. So it's not leaves, it is stems and things, but it
Yeah.
has on it. So I'm not sure which category does that go in.
If it's still connected to the stick and everything, it would be perfectly fine in the brush pickup.
Okay, great. I'm interested in getting a free blue bin because I moved here within 6 months, so I would like to, you went kind of quickly. I didn't catch where I'm supposed to do that.
Public Works. So go call the Public Works Department at the township building and let them know you moved and you want to pick up a can. You can either go and pick it up or they can deliver it right to your house.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You mentioned that there, if we have more than what goes in the blue bins, there's a place where there are bins where we can bring things. Where did you say that is?
Hilltop Road. So if you make the turn off of Westchester Pike onto Old Westchester Road, which is how you would get to Barnaby's, that back road.
Yep.
Yeah, so you would on the left-hand side, you would follow Hilltop Road and you'll see the bins on your way down that road.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
They're located within the bus yard for the township. So if you see the yellow school buses, you're there.
Okay, perfect. And the recycling is only in the blue bin. So if I have a bunch of recycling and I've put it into a bag made of recycled products, that's not okay. It needs to be in the blue bin separately.
Yep, everything's separate. Nothing should be bagged.
Okay.
Except
And
shredded paper.
okay. And will a recording of this call be available so that I can share it with other people?
Yes, we're going to post this on our YouTube channel, which is also all over our website that we'll talk about at the end too.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate you. I've learned that you're volunteers, and so I think this is really tremendous. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so there was one particular Friday and I had worked very hard at separating and recycling, and I had put my trash out, put my recycling out. And as I was leaving to go to school, I was shocked to see the trash men take everything. They took the trash and they took my recycling. And I was like really frustrated. When I
Yeah.
spoke to my neighbors said, give it up, stop doing it. Nothing's really recycled in the township. Everything's going to the trash dump. So what proof is it that's really happening? I mean, I got upset that day.
The township gets a bill from the recycling facility per ton. That's how we know it's going there.
But if you have concerns about the pickup, if you saw them put trash and recycling in the same trash truck, call Public Works or report it on, there's a citizen informer on the township page and let them know. The more that people complain about it, the more they'll do something about it.
Where is this page I can complain? I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Where do I go?
The Haverford Township page, if you go to the township page, find the little icon that says citizen reporter and you
Where
can.
is township? Is that like on Facebook or?
No,
The internet.
the internet. Yeah,
Melissa, I'll put the links in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, okay, thank you.
perfect.
I appreciate that because I was
Yeah.
very frustrated.
And yeah, just to answer sort of like sometimes people do see Public Works, put recycling in the trash when there's obvious contamination. Like they have been instructed that if they see something that's heavily contaminated, just trash it. I'm not saying that's what was the case with yours. But sometimes you will see that. Sometimes it might just be, human error, whether it's, honest mistake or laziness, who knows? But some of it is because they've been instructed that if they see major contamination to trash it.
Right.
But that particular Friday, many of us noticed what was happening.
Yeah.
It was very frustrating.
In the past, they used to tag it. They would leave a little note on your recycling can. This is not right. Please call us to find out why not. It would be great if they could do it, but Public Works is just swamped and they don't really have time to be like looking in everybody's bin. But that's why we want to kind of educate people. But the more that you have concerns, let Public Works know, let your commissioners know, let the township know.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
We did get a question in the chat about metal lids, and an orange juice from Trader Joe's that says it's recyclable. We are going to get into the metal lids and the caps and that kind of bit in the second half of this when we talk about ways to recycle things above and beyond your blue bin.
And if assuming the OJ is a carton, not a plastic OJ bottle, they're going to put the label on there. It says recyclable because the Tetra Pak cartons can be recycled. It's just that our hauler is no longer accepting them because they don't have a buyer for them.
Right.
It is the carton. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So they did take them up until at some point last year. I forget when the switch happened. It ultimately came down to the market. They didn't have anybody to buy them anymore.
Okay, so put it in the trash. Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay,
For
thank
now.
you.
All right. I think we're ready to move on to the second part. Jess, take it away.
Okay, so now we have some alternatives to avoid some of the stuff that can't go in your blue bin from going from trash. Whole list here, we're going to go down individually: electronics, medications, plastic bags, scrap metal, stores that offer specific recycling items, TerraCycle, which Melissa already mentioned, and also items that we can do reusing or donating of. So recycling electronics. Huge thing that the township has started offering is the township now has 3 e-waste bins, 2 of which are located at the township building in the lower level parking lot between the township building and the Wawa, and the third is located in the parking lot at the CREC. These bins are available 24/7. They are for small household e-waste. So pretty much anything with a cord that can fit through the openings, which the opening honestly is pretty generous. You could fit small printers in there. You can fit some computer monitors in there. But this is, anything handheld, tablets, phones, string lights. They are available. Say it again.
I just want to chime in that actually monitors are the exception that they're not supposed to go in there.
Okay, good to know.
Little TVs and monitors are not accepted in there.
Okay, so disregard that. But what the good thing is, the township also offers twice a year is the large household e-waste. So that would be, I guess, your computer monitors as well as TVs, air conditioners, dehumidifiers. Those events are twice a year and they're free, including the TV recycling, which free TV recycling is hard to come by. There's very few places you can find that. Fortunately, the township offers that twice a year for residents. There's also the option for bulk pickup for larger items like refrigerators or TVs or microwaves. If you can't hold your item until one of the 2 e-waste events, you can always call Public Works, but you'll have to pay for that bulk pickup. Few other options if you want something more immediate. Staples stores, which we have a few local, will accept many electronics for recycling. They do typically have a limit on how many they accept a day. However, Staples does offer rewards. So if you are, a customer there, you can recycle your electronics there. You can recycle your ink and toner there. You get rewards that you can use back in the store. There's additional stores, one Batteries Plus, which I believe is on Baltimore Pike in Springfield. They will recycle electronics. They accept, they recycle several types of batteries and light bulbs, several types of light bulbs, actually. Best Buy as well, very similar to Staples. Usually the limitation with most of these stores are they will charge you for TVs or larger items. And then if you're looking for ultimate convenience, then there's a company called Retriever where you can schedule a doorstep pickup and they will recycle electronics. They recycle textiles as well. You pay a flat fee for pickup and then additional fee for something like a TV or like mini refrigerators. So got it. Okay, so medication sharps disposal, also provided by the township in the lobby entrance to the police station at 1010 Darby Road. As soon as you walk in the front doors to your right, you don't need to stop or talk to anybody. You can access that 24/7 as well. Those front doors are always open. Sharps containers, you just need to make sure the sharps are inside of a hard plastic container before you put them into the bin. And the medication bin, medication cannot be loose in that. It either needs to be sealed in the medication bottle or you can put the medication to like a sealed Ziploc bag and then recycle the medication bottle in your curbside. Okay, now plastic bags and film that Melissa was talking about, those can't go in your curbside bin. One, not only does it jam up the gears, but two, it doesn't get recycled. It's going to go to trash. But most retailers locally do accept plastic bags and film for recycling. Stores like Giant, Acme, Lowe's, Target, they usually all have those bins as soon as you walk in. But those bins accept a lot more than just those plastic grocery bags. They include your bread bags, your produce bags, both the kind that when you buy like a 5-pound bag of potatoes or apples that they already come in, but also the roll of produce bags if you're using them in the grocery store. They accept the delivery envelopes from Amazon, which are these blue and white envelopes here that I know everybody's probably familiar with. You just have to make sure that you peel off these labels and stickers. If you can't peel it off because it's too hard, just go ahead and cut it off, put that part in the trash. But this can go to your plastic bag and film recycling at the retailers. Cereal bag liners are accepted in that as well as all kinds of plastic film packaging that like toilet paper comes wrapped in, paper towels come wrapped in, baby diapers come wrapped in. And also if you're buying cases of water, the plastic film around that is accepted in these bins. And another big one for people getting deliveries are the deflated air pillows, bubble wrap. As long as the air is released, you can put them in there as well. Main thing to keep in mind with these bins is all the bags have to be empty and make sure there's no stickers, labels, or staples in them. Or receipts. Make sure the receipts are out of the bags. Haverford has enacted the plastic-free ordinance last year. So there is the ban on single-use plastic bags and straws, but obviously we still see them all over the place. There is a fee now for purchasing paper bags. However, obviously it just makes the most sense to use reusable bags. There's no point in paying for bags over and over again. But if you do have bags, whether or not maybe you do, an Instacart delivery, you can reuse them. But there is also a bag share where there's a volunteer who hosts a site where you can drop off bags or pick up bags if you need them. The address is located here in the slides, which everybody will have access to later. So don't feel bad if you don't have a notepad and a pen to take notes. You can view all this stuff later. Ready? Sorry, I don't have access to change the slides. All right, so metal recycling, as Melissa mentioned, curbside is really very basic. It is your beverage and food, steel and aluminum cans. But there is a volunteer that does collect metal to go to a scrapyard. So in the slide, or in the chat, somebody had asked about those metal jar lids. The volunteer collects those. The volunteer has several buckets in the driveway. One designated for aluminum, steel, iron, one for those empty aerosol cans that are no longer accepted in curbside. You just bring them over. Address is located there. The volunteer does take larger items as well, but nothing too crazy because they need to be able to carry it, and you need to remove as much plastic as possible if there is plastic on it. Good thing to know if you're trying to sort your metals and you want to participate in this. Steel is magnetic, so just take a magnet to your metal before you go, and it's an easy way to sort the steel out. A lot of the metals that we're talking about, again, as we mentioned, the metal jar lids, bottle caps, the foil lids for yogurt and applesauce, those clean aluminum trays that Melissa showed you already, and the screws, nuts, and bolts she talked about, as well as things like old cooking pans, pots and pans, and string lights. If you have lights that are no longer working after the holidays, the volunteer takes those as well. Okay, next up is Mom's Organic Market. They host several recycling programs. You can recycle batteries through Mom's. Natural cork, as Melissa mentioned, on the wine bottles. Not synthetic, just the natural. Shoes, glasses, phones, and other other tablet type devices. If you are not a customer of Mom's Organic, we have a volunteer who collects that as well. And then there's also Lowe's and Home Depot that, in addition to the plastic bags, they also recycle rechargeable batteries and CFL bulbs. And again, as mentioned already, the Batteries Plus, they take batteries, lights, and electronics. Okay, staples, we already mentioned, so I'll go through it quickly. It's batteries, the tech devices, ink and toner. But good thing to mention is they also recycle things like this: old pens that aren't working anymore, markers, highlighters, as well as pencils and crayons. Their list is pretty extensive of what they accept, and it's free and you can earn rewards. Okay, TerraCycle. We have a network of volunteers who host collection sites for various items that are almost always trash. You can either participate and drop off at a local volunteer site, or if you want it, you could sign up on your own and just ship out as needed. Some of these might take a little while to, have enough to ship, which is why we have a network of volunteers, so you don't have to hold your trash too long. So first program up, I believe, is going to be the oral care program. Yes, so the beauty care and oral care bins. The township did allow us to start a pilot program at the township building. So you can do a little bit of one-stop shopping there, since there is the medication drop-off, the sharps drop-off, the e-waste bins. They also have the oral care bin and the beauty cycle bin, which is right up by the main doors of the township building. And the oral care program recycles things like this that normally go in your trash: a toothbrush, a toothpaste tube, a floss container. No floss picks though, just to be clear. It's just this plastic floss container. And even the boxes that toothpaste tubes come in, because more often than not, especially brands like Crest, they tend to have that metallic material to the box. And as Melissa mentioned, the metallic papers and cardboards aren't recyclable curbside, but they are accepted in this oral care program. In addition to the floss picks not being accepted, mouthwash bottles are also not accepted. They're usually, a number 1 plastic. You just rinse that and put that in your blue curbside bin. Next up is going to be the beauty cycle program, which that's going to be some of the stuff Melissa had mentioned that isn't accepted curbside, like your flexible plastic tubes, lip balm tubes, makeup packaging, mascara tubes, lipstick tubes, deodorant tubes, and then the caps to like your shampoos and stuff, because sometimes those are mixed materials. They can all go in here, as well as if you have hairspray or other hair products that have the spray triggers, those are accepted here as well. You don't have to clean the bottles out for this. They just, ask that you remove as much as possible, but you don't need to scrub it. That's one of the good things with TerraCycle, that doesn't need to be as clean as what your curbside stuff needs to be. Good to note for this program though, no aerosol cans are accepted, no razors are accepted, no perfume bottles or nail polish bottles. And again, if it's a hard plastic bottle like shampoo and it's 1 through 7, don't put that in this program. Just put that in your curbside bin. Foil lined snack packaging. This is one of our really popular ones. So, as much as we want to reduce and avoid stuff, got to be realistic. Anyone who's got kids knows you're going to have snacks. So there's a program that does recycle items like this. It is the snack packaging that is that foil lined on the inside. The only rule is it's got to be empty. So don't drop off a full bag, just shake out the crumbs and then you can drop that off. It's not for coffee bags or pet food or pill packets. It's strictly foil lined snack packaging. And exciting to note that the school district is jumping on board with the EAC, and they have plans to start this alternative recycling in the secondary schools as well. So that's exciting. Then there is the TerraCycle Swiffer program. If you use the Swiffer wet or dry pads, there's a program for that. You can drop those off to the volunteer site as well to be recycled. Again, obviously, I would suggest avoiding products like this. There's plenty of products you can use at home that are less wasteful, but life gets busy. So if this is something you need to use, so be it, use it, but just recycle it. There's TerraCycle Gerber program, where Gerber packaging is recyclable, because most people don't realize it, because they say, hey, they're these little plastic tubs. They just assume they're accepted, but most of these are not accepted in your curbside recycling. But it also accepts the shrink wrap labels around it, as well as the Gerber baby hangers, the Gerber pouches, which I don't think I have a Gerber pouch, but similar kind, like these types of food pouches are accepted in there. All stuff that wouldn't be in your curbside Again, you just have to rinse out, you know, the food packaging, but you don't have to scrub it.
I just want to make a note real
Yeah.
quick. We've talked about like the oral care and the personal care, that is any brand, whereas some of these other programs like this Gerber is very specific to that brand only.
Good note. All right, the Honest juice pouches. This is another one where it's sponsored by Honest, but any juice pouch brand is accepted in this program, along with the little straws that come with it. So this is another one that's popular for anyone with kids. And this is also one of the programs that the school district is going to start doing in the schools. The Go-Go Squeeze, as I just mentioned. So this is another one sponsored by Go-Go Squeeze, but any brand is accepted. Everything comes in pouches these days, the fruits, the veggies, seen some with meat included in them. I wouldn't eat that, but yogurt in them. And I've even seen like in the ice cream aisle, they come in these. So these pouches along with their caps are included. You don't have to scrub them. You just got to empty out as much as you can, put the cap back on. Next up is going to be the cleaning and laundry care programs. So this volunteer collects for two programs. One is spray nozzles from cleaning products, which I don't have, but Melissa did hold it up earlier. You know, picture like your Windex bottle. That spray nozzle is not accepted in the curbside because there's the metal inside of it. But this can go in this alternative program. And this volunteer also collects laundry packaging for Tide, Gain, Downy, and Dreft. And it's all the stuff that can't go in your curbside. So as you can see, the flexible packaging that the pods come in, the dispensing cups usually aren't in curbside. If you get the really, really large jug that has the nozzle on the side, that's not accepted in curbside. You have to remove it, but it goes in this program, including any plastic packaging wrap. And also Tide to Go pens are accepted in this program. Then there's the TerraCycle Brita program. This one is brand specific. If you use any Brita pitchers, these filters, the plastic flexible packaging the filters come in are accepted, as well as if you have a Brita pitcher that's, you know, lived its life and it's cracked or broken, the pitcher can actually go in this program as well, along with like the faucet systems and packaging. All right, then there's Barilla, Pasta, Little Bites, and Baby Bell. I should probably separate these because two of them are at the same site. Barilla, if anybody uses that, they have the ready pasta that comes in pouches, very similar to this other flexible packaging. Those can be accepted in that program. And the Entenmann's Little Bite snack pouches are also accepted in the TerraCycle program. Then there is a Baby Bell program, which is a separate drop-off location. You use these, or if you don't, they come with these little rubber, I'm not even sure what these are, Melissa, but like rubber
Wax.
Yeah, wax cover things, or like this plastic film that comes over it. There's a program to recycle these if you use those.
And they also come in that netting like oranges or onions do, and that's accepted in it.
So this program is on hold, so I'm not really going to get into details. There was a program for razors and all the packaging that comes with it. It's on hold. There's no longer a free program. All these programs we've been referencing so far are free programs through TerraCycle. This is no longer free. It's paid, which is why it's on hold. So honestly, I'd suggest not using those products. Go to Shift or Refill. They've got plenty of products you can use there. Then there's the Febreze Air Care program with the Febreze air freshener cartridges, plugs, trigger heads, and the plastic film packaging. No plastic bottles though. So you see those spray bottles, if you know, got a 1 through 7 on the bottom, just take the sprayer off, put the bottle in your curbside, and then drop off the sprayer for this program. And then additional programs that are available, there's a contact lens packaging and contact lens program. So it is the packaging, that little tray with the foil lids, but also the contacts themselves, which kudos if you save all your contact lenses and figure out a system for that. But WC Optometry on Westchester Pike in Broomall and Edmonds Eye Associates are both locations where you can drop them off. There is a dental aligners program that can be dropped.
Actually, I believe the dental program is not active. I think somebody put something there and was told they don't take it. So that is cool. And we need to update this. Sorry.
Yep, no worries. Any brand for pet food packaging and treat bags. Pet Supplies Plus, there's 2 locations, one in Woodland on McDay Boulevard, the other in Westchester. You can take your packaging there to be recycled. There is another TerraCycle program for pop sockets and phone cases, any brand. Good to Grow character tops. I'm pretty sure they're the little things that come on top of like the juice containers, right?
Yep.
Okay. There's a program for that. And then there is a separate volunteer for Royal Canin pet food packaging that accepts for TerraCycle. But, you know, if you have multiple brands of pet food, I would just take everything to Pet Supplies Plus rather than separating it. And then there's also a TerraCycle program for Quinn packaging, which I believe is a snack food packaging.
Yep.
Okay. Then there's other alternatives. There's a program called Rabbit Recycling, which is a paid service. They pick up at your home. If you reside here in Havertown, we are Zone 7. Pickups are Tuesdays or Thursdays, and they give you a window of what time they're going to pick up. And you can do the service as either on demand or do like a monthly subscription service. I'm a subscriber to Rabbit Recycling. I do the on demand. I have the what is it, like the 18-gallon tote or whatever it is. It's not 5-gallon, right?
Right.
It's the larger one. It actually takes a while to fill that bin up. But for all the stuff that I can't find any other free program for, it goes into this bin, and I usually have them pick up probably once every 3 or 4 months for me. But super convenient. You just go to their website, let them know when you're ready for a pickup. If it's on demand, they send a reminder to make sure you remember to put it out, out front, and they pick it up from right in front of your house. What they accept is extensive. So if it's something you might be interested in, highly advise that you check out their website and go over the list, but it's pretty much everything they take there. Main thing to keep in mind with them, they're very strict. Anything that is like food type packaging has to be clean, has to be dry. So if you're not super committed to making sure everything is clean and not contaminated, Rabbit Recycling might not be for you. They do a lot of things. They don't just recycle. They donate anything that's still usable, and they repurpose whatever can be repurposed. And then recycling and deconstruction happens last. You also actually can shop from them. A lot of artists that, do things with alternative materials shop from them. I'm sure plenty of other reasons why people shop there. So another program we have is bread tags and plastic gift cards. So these little bread tags, which you can see on the screen, I have some here. They come on loaves of bread. They come on the produce bags that, for potatoes and apples. Volunteer collects them, and these get sent to Danielle Cares for Chairs, and they get recycled to raise money for wheelchairs. Volunteer also collects used spent gift cards, or even, if you have an old membership card. I know I actually just recently gave Melissa our expired aquarium membership cards to recycle. There is supposedly a public bin coming to the township soon. Stay tuned. We'll see if that happens. Some reuse program. Well, this is more recycling programs. There is a volunteer who collects styrofoam to take it to Northeast Foam Recycling. That is very clearly, though, only this type of styrofoam, the hard, rigid kind that if I were to snap it, it'd start snowing. There'd be all the little white styrofoam balls sticking to everything. This is the only kind that's accepted in this program. It is not this flexible, soft styrofoam. That volunteer usually does, she's very involved or very active in the Facebook groups. She usually does request that people message her prior to coming over to let her know that they'll be dropping off. And that volunteer also collects glass to take the bottle underground. It's sold for reuse and it's repurposed. If anybody in here is closer to Philly, they'll actually pick up by bike in Philly. But same thing as Rabbit Recycling. It has to be clean. You have to clean it. It's got to be dry for them to take it. You can also occasionally drop off select glass at Shift Sustainable Goods and Services in Narberth, and they'll reuse it for people coming in to purchase products who haven't gotten, refill containers yet. And some other reuse programs. There's a local company called Spencer's Plate right here in our area. They are perishable dog food. They will reuse those styrofoam coolers that you might get from food delivery services or medication deliveries, as well as those insulated cooler bags and the reusable ice packs that come inside of them. There's a local drop off here. Materials just have to be clean and in good, decent shape. But I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but the last time I saw the owner share, they've diverted a significant amount of waste from trash. So it's pretty cool if you have those items to take them there so they can reuse them. There's local volunteers that accept towels and blankets to take to animal shelters. They don't have to be in the best condition. So if you have some towels or blankets that have a little tear, it's not good enough to donate, to Goodwill anymore, you take them to this volunteer. The animals will be happy to use them. Candles. You have candles that are partially used. You can take them to the Historic Society at Night or Hall. They will melt them down and make new candles. Vases. Everybody has collections of old vases under the sink or in the basement. There's a lovely florist on Darby Road, Little Flower Creative Floral Designs, who will reuse vases. And then there's also teachers' teammates for various school supplies or office supplies. So, you have old, binders that are still usable, books that are still usable, markers and crayons in good shape. And then, Melissa, are you still taking crayons, like broken crayons, or is that no longer?
I believe they are.
Okay. They're also, as far as we know, still, they take broken crayons and they melt them down and make new crayons. And they help schools that are in like lower funded areas. So it's a really great program to reduce waste and also help schools that need a little bit of help. Then there's also a program called the Kensington Project that'll take out containers and toiletries and other items to help with some of the homeless. Donate items. Again, as I mentioned, teachers' teammates. There was Grant Stepping Up, which is temporarily on hold. They took all kinds of children's clothing, children's gear, but I believe they're in the process of moving, which is why they're on hold. Again, the Kensington Project, Fostering Hope Delco, Community Warehouse Project, Cradle to Crayons, Animal Shelters, Helpsy Bins, which is a new one we've been using. They're like those clothing bins. They're a textile bin. They take all kinds of textiles, shoes. The big thing to note that they take that people are always looking for a place they can't find is they take stuffed animals. So that's a really good one for that. But they divert, clothes from going to trash. Majority of clothes typically go to trash, but they, resell what can be resold. They reuse what they can. Anything that's got holes or stains might be downcycled into cleaning materials or other stuff. So they divert a lot of waste from trash. There's can you go back for 1 second? 3 local drop-off bins, but the 2 closest to the township are going to be the Produce Junction parking lot in Broomall, as well as the Lower Merion Township building in Narberth. So where are we at? And then, of course, the typical places: Goodwill, Purple Heart, Green Drop. And then, if all else fails, Facebook Marketplace or your local Buy Nothing group or Haverford Recycle group. Most things you can find a home rather than putting in your trash. So we also do some limited time collections. TerraCycle has a children's clothing collection sponsored by Carter's. We usually do that quarterly. That is for clothes that are not donatable condition, that are torn or stained. There's a kids' toys recycling program for Hasbro, Leapfrog, Spin Master, and VTech. Occasionally, there's been collections for trophies and medals. Again, as we mentioned, the Christmas lights at Mom's, and also the metal recycling. Mom's also recycles jeans periodically. I believe it's twice a year. Target offers car seat recycling once a year, and you can get a coupon for 20% off a new baby item. And then the store we mentioned, Shift Sustainable Goods and Services in Narberth, they host periodic recycling events as well. The township offers paper shredding twice a year, free to residents, and you don't need to register. You just, on those dates, you pull up, you have your boxes ready, they'll take them, they dump them in the truck, they're shredded. It's really easy. Then there's the township e-waste events, which are twice a year. First one coming up is going to be June 15th. That does require registration and tends to be pretty popular. So if it's something you're interested in, especially if you have something like a TV, you want to get rid of that for free, make sure you stay tuned for the registration for that. Newest program that the township is hosting is PRC's traveling glass bin. I think it was just in November when we had the first bin. It was pretty successful, and the glass that goes to that bin is confirmed recycled. It's not getting used as landfill cover. So that's an awesome one. The next one coming up is going to be April 5th, and it's going to last for about a month this time. So if you have a little bit of space in your garage or wherever, start your collection box of your glass bottles, because more of it will get reused that way rather than ending up in a landfill. And then another collection, which is hosted by volunteers in the EAC, would be the pumpkin collection that happens in the fall. There's a drop-off location at Orner's during business hours. So if you use pumpkins to decorate your homes for the fall Halloween, as long as they're not carved and they're not decorated with anything, those can go to the pumpkin collection. They go to a pig farm, and the pigs are happy to eat the pumpkins. Okay, so we also have the Delaware County hazardous house waste, or household hazardous waste. I think I got that backwards. Those happen quarterly, not usually in our township. You can see the list there. It's a different location usually each time. But those are free. Registration is required, and any, hazardous waste materials in your house, you just check the list. Quite a few things are accepted. Obviously check for the things that aren't accepted. And then yard signs is another event that's happened in the past 2 years here with the volunteer. Everybody knows those yard signs that pop up during election season or at the end of the year when kids are graduating for school. There is a program that recycles those yard signs.
I just want to make sure everybody is aware that this hazardous waste collection is where you're bringing your aerosol cans.
Yes.
Not in recycling or trash.
Yes. So again, if you don't go to this event, you can bring your aerosol cans to the scrap metal collection. The volunteer will take them there. But if you're going to the household hazardous waste event anyway, because you have other things that need to go, you would take your aerosol cans here.
Do you want me to take over now?
Yeah, I think most at your house, right?
Yep. Joy, do you want to spotlight me again, I guess? So we just went over a ton of different programs, various places to drop them off. So we've had a lot of questions over the course of our program. Where do you store these things, and where to bring them, that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to give everybody a little example of where I store some of my TerraCycle programs that I'm collecting for throughout the year. None of it is pretty, none of it is fancy, and none of it is store-bought. So I'm using old containers. You could see there's some styrofoam containers there. This is right next to my sink. So if I have those yogurt pouches or the caps or the aluminum foil, whatever I'm clean it, I put over there until I store it, until I drop it off. Next to my fridge on the left, you could see I have a bag filled with other bags, and these are my foiled line bags, and my grocery bags get shoved back there. On the right hand side is all my scrap metal, so you could see the aerosol cans in the one bin, and then I have one for my aluminum and one for my steel. And then in my upstairs bathroom hallway closet, I have my personal items, my spray nozzles, my toothbrush, my oral care stuff, my personal care stuff, glasses, those kind of things. Whatever needs to be recycled, just find a little spot that's convenient for you, throw it away in the corner until you're ready to transport it where it needs to go. And now these are our sites where we're collecting. So on the left is my house, and at the top, those 4 nice cans that Jessica gifted off of Buy Nothing was able to find those. We're just everyday residents. We're just collecting these items. So it's on our property. You can come 24/7, drop these kind of things off. We hold on to them until we have enough to sort out. The TerraCycle programs, we have prepaid shipping labels that we just keep a bunch of boxes in our basement, load them up, bring them out to UPS and ship them.
One thing I'd add to that is there is no restriction, but I would avoid the overnight hours, just because, they are still homes, and even if we're okay with it, sometimes neighbors might see some random person walking up to your door at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're going to think that's suspicious. So I would try to keep that to maybe
Respectful
we're-
hours. Yes. Yes.
yeah, reasonable.
I
It
mean,
can still be-
we are normal people. We have children coming in and out of the house and playing in the yard. So, yes, be respectful about it. We want to kind of give examples as well because we're always looking for more volunteers. Jess and I can't collect for every program, although we try. So it helps to have other people in the township. And, if we have one person that can be designated for each collection, it really helps spread out the opportunities throughout the township. Okay, so I mentioned this before, haverfordclimateaction.org. This is a website. It's created by Joy and I. We put all the content in there. It is hosted by the Haverford Township Civic Council, who allowed us to use their umbrella. This website is everything you need to know about climate change. 43% of US greenhouse gas emissions come from choices made by average Americans, just like us. We have the choice, whether it's transportation, energy, food, yard and garden, waste, recycling, all this information, every aspect of everything down to the carbon footprint is on this website. We highly encourage you to take a look at it. You can find ways to reduce your emissions, lower your carbon footprint, find out what incentives and tax credits there are to do certain projects. So if you go under the waste tab, you will find many pages. There's general recycling info that I talked about in the beginning of the presentation. There's that one-page recycling flyer. There's the FAQ, which is updated and current. And then you can find our program. It's called Recycling Beyond the Blue Bin. We have a PDF. It is like 50 pages long. It's all the programs we talked about, all the addresses that we said you can drop these things off to, all the information you need. So please check it out. Thank you for tuning in. There's no such thing as away. When you throw anything away, it must go somewhere. Small changes lead to big changes. Changing only one or two things at a time is more sustainable long term. We don't want you to go home and try to do every program that we talked about tonight. Think about
realistic.
What you use, what is important to you. When you're dropping these recycling items off to people's houses, try to minimize your emissions if you're using a gas car by doing it on your way and grouping them together and finding, which way to go. We have a whole bunch of workshops and events coming up. Spring is a very busy time. We tend to slow down a little bit over the summer and the winter. So we have a bunch of events coming up, Trail Summit, Rain Garden workshops. Our next EAC webinar is on electric vehicles. There's our traveling glass bin, our shredding event. We have a solar webinar, Earth Days coming up. We have a heat pump webinar. All these webinars, we keep saying we're recording it. We're going to put it on our YouTube channel. That video ends up on our Haverford Climate Action website. So you can find all these videos. We're going to put the slides up for this presentation as well. So you'll have all the information at your fingertips. And like I said, we're volunteers. Joy, Jess, we work, we have families, we have kids. We fit all this in because we really care about it and we want to make a difference. If you want to reach out to the EAC with questions, or if you want to volunteer with us, we are always looking for more volunteers. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and then our website, of course. We have our email, haveswitch@gmail is our all-in-one email. If you email us that you want to be signed up for our Recycling Beyond the Blue Bin mailing list, I mail out once a month, every month, the updated PDF, just to make sure that people have that information. I highlight what programs might have left or what we added or what's new or upcoming events. There's that kind of information is very easy to see so that you don't have to go searching for it every time. And on that Haverford Climate Action website, the very front homepage, scroll down to the bottom and you'll see a list of all the events with all the registration links, everything you need. All right. I think we made it.
If I could just jump in for a second, I would just stress, if anything, the only things you take away from this is one, just try to really focus on keeping that curbside recycling clean and reducing contamination, and just avoid wish cycling. There's far fewer things accepted in the blue bins than people think. Just really try and stick to your basic products in your blue bins. And then if you want to go above and beyond a little bit, just focus on a couple of alternative programs, whether it's a scrap metal, whether it's, if you have kids who use these go-go squeeze pouches a lot, just, pick a couple that you think you produce the most waste for, and then focus on those. And then once you get into a rhythm or routine, if you feel comfortable adding a couple more, go ahead and add a couple more. I'll throw out a plug. It's one of my favorite stores now. We mentioned a couple of times the Shift Sustainable Goods and Services. I absolutely love that store. It's where I get my laundry detergent from, among other products. If you're looking to reduce some of the packaging that's coming into your home, rather than worrying about recycling it, I highly recommend you check out their store. There's also it's Refill, which is also local in town. I haven't been in personally that store yet, but it's very similar concept. Highly suggest you check them out. They're great.
And real quick, before people log off, we are having a raffle. I have the names of everyone who registered for this webinar in here. And we are going to be gifting a recycling can because we know you have much more recycling to do. So the winner would be Ann Vesco. You're here. Yay, it worked. I was afraid I would pick somebody who wasn't here. And I am going to email you for your address, and Public Works will drop off a new recycling bin to your house. We can open it up to any last minute questions. If anybody has a question, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself or put it in the chat.
I just want to say thank you. I learned a lot. I really appreciate you holding this. So thank you.
Yes, thanks for joining us.
Yep.
All right. If there's no questions, we can end this. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.